questions or chat bar on your GoToMeeting panel. Someone will just be able to confirm. Cool. Thanks, John. Great. All right, well, we'll get started. So this webinar is being recorded, by the way. It'll be made available for download afterwards. But we'll get started. We're looking at Autodesk BIM 360 Field, which is a fairly newish cloud-based field management solution from Autodesk. I say new to Autodesk, but not new in its own right. It's been around many years. So Autodesk have brought this product out, I think, over a year ago now. So we'll get into it and we'll have a look at what it's all about. I'm just going to run through some slides first of all, and then we'll go and fire up the tool and have a look at a live demonstration. Okay, so BIM 360 Field Overview. It was formerly Vela Systems, so this tool has been purchased from a company called Vela. It's been around for many, many years. It started well before BIM has kind of been established. So the tool was originally designed to work off of 2D drawings, and it was a field management solution that I believe originally started on a tablet PC and then migrated over to the iPad, which is the mobile device that we use today. So it's been around a long time. It's got a good reputation, and it's a very established tool. There's some major clients using it around the world. Woolley Parsons in Australia, Turner, Balfour Beatty in the US. So there's some major tier 1 firms that are using this system and have been doing so for many years. What is it? It's a field management solution. So if you've never kind of heard that term before or don't really know what a field management solution is, this is the webinar to watch. We're going to be explaining that in more detail. The key thing, though, is it extends the BIM process to the field. So most of you are probably familiar with the concept of BIM. BIM is many different things to many different people. What we could probably all agree on is that BIM is kind of fairly well established in the design end of a project, less so when it comes to construction and facilities management and maintenance and operations. So BIM 360 Field kind of bridges that gap. It brings BIM out of the design process onto the construction site. It gives you access to all that rich data on the construction site, and then it also allows us to capture information and push that through to facilities management and operation. So what are the capabilities? I'll just go through these in some more detail. There's three main, what they call programs within the application. So that's QA/QC, quality assurance and control, safety and commissioning. Many clients are using all three programs. Many just focus on one core area depending on what the requirements of their job are. But these core programs tie in with or kind of are reflected in the major tools within the software. So issue logging, producing checklists and so on. So we'll have a look at that when we fire up the tool. As I've mentioned already, one of the key benefits or key capabilities is to bring information to the job site. Not just BIM models, documents as well, 2D documents, drawings. That's how the application started out, just basic PDF drawings on the iPad. But also other documents like specs, maintenance operation guides, installation guides. Any information that you want to bring to the job site can be done with BIM 360 Field. So what does it allow you to do? It allows you to measure the progress of projects and individual company programs within a construction project. One of the other key benefits is to capture as-built data, as I've said. So obviously facilities management is becoming much more important, and the integration of BIM into facilities management is kind of an emerging trend as well. So how do we capture all this as-built data on site? BIM 360 Field is one way to do that. Once we've got all this information, it can be synced down to a model, such as a Navisworks model or a Revit model, and then can be used further downstream in the FM process. Once you've got a few projects completed or processed through BIM 360 Field, you can start to identify trends between different projects and analyse the performance of different contractors, different subcontractors across multiple projects. And this allows you to understand where strengths and weaknesses occur on a project and who they can be attributed to. And how does it do all this? Well, it leverages cloud computing and the latest mobile technologies, so we'll look at that in more detail as well. So some of the benefits of using a field management tool is that you're reducing risk. You're identifying issues as they occur in the field. You're assigning responsibility for them. You're capturing information about them. You're reporting on them as they occur instantaneously. And because you do that, you're creating accountability. You're assigning those issues to a particular party on the project to resolve. So you're reducing risk, financial risks and safety risk. Because you're identifying issues straight away and you're getting them closed out fairly quickly, you're accelerating your project schedules. So you're making sure the project's delivered on time. And talking again about commissioning and handover, because we're capturing as-built and commissioning information, we're improving handover and operations outcomes. We can hand over a rich model-based data source to a client with all the as-built information about their project. And of course, if you're doing those three things that I've just described, it's obvious and logical that you're going to increase profitability. So who does BIM 360 Field apply to? Contractors is the first one we'll look at. So contractors, general contractors will use this tool to manage all the project stakeholders and their relevant processes. So they're basically going to use it to manage their what their subcontractors are doing and manage the project at the highest level. Subcontractors can also use the tool in their own right. So they use it on a kind of more macro level to manage their own internal processes and tasks. And there's a kind of workflow that can happen within the system digitally between contractors and subcontractors. On certain projects you might only have the subcontractor using the system. We've got plenty of subcontractor clients who are using it in their own right, whether it's mandated by the contractor or not. Again, you could have just the contractor using BIM 360 Field. The information they capture can be disseminated to subcontractors even if the subcontractor is not on the system. Ideally they would be, but once we've captured this information on site, we can generate reports in many different formats and disseminate that information out. Architects and engineers, so architects, engineers, other consultants, lighting consultants, whoever can get in on the project, run punch lists or what you might know as snag lists, and use it in the QA/QC process as well. And also owners and developers. So we've already talked about the commissioning and handover side of things, and obviously that's where owners and developers kind of come into the play as well. This is just a little graphic now that I'm going to show, which is supposed to kind of simplify the explanation of who can be involved in a BIM 360 Field project and when and why. Yeah, the idea is just to show you that the different stakeholders that do get involved on BIM 360 Field projects. Okay, so the components that the tool is basically comprised of is the iPad application. So that's the mobile application that we use on site, which I'm about to fire up and show you. And then there's a web engine behind that, and that's the cloud-based kind of side of the tool. So that's where we actually generate the reports, and that's where we also actually set the project up and manage the project. And then just finally, just a look at the specific tools in the product. We've got a models tool, library tool, tasks, equipment, checklists, issues, and then there's also some miscellaneous tools as well. So I'm about to fire up the iPad and actually run through these specific tools and show how it all works in context. So I'm just going to mirror the iPad, just bear with me. Okay, I'm just checking to make sure you guys can see my iPad. I think you can now. Okay, so this is what the application looks like on the iPad. There's a bunch of Autodesk apps available for the iPad, and some are coming out on Android now as well. BIM 360 Blue, you'll see there, that's kind of sister product of Field that we'll do a webinar on shortly as well. But I'm going to launch the Field application. So once you launch the Field application, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to log in if you're not already logged in. So you can have as many projects on the go in Field as you want. So you simply choose your project from this list and you'll log in with your credentials. Once you're logged in, you'll sync your project. So we want to basically bring down all the current information off the cloud and store it on the iPad. And if we've got any information on our iPad from our last session that we want to sync back up to the cloud, we can also do that. So we can control our upload and download settings just by clicking this little icon down here. So you've got full control over what you're syncing up and what you're syncing back down. The idea behind this is that this system, this iPad, can work fully offline. So you don't need a cellular connection, you don't need Wi-Fi connection while you're out on the site. And obviously that's a key point. On most construction sites, that's not going to be viable to have a Wi-Fi connection. If you're down in a basement surrounded by concrete shoring walls or something, Wi-Fi is not going to work. If you're out in a remote site, so resources industry, offshore, wherever that might be, you're not going to have cellular connection in most cases. So the key point of this is we're in the site office or anywhere where we've got a cellular or Wi-Fi connection, we do our sync, and once we've done that, we can work offline for the day. So I'm not going to sync, I've already done that for this project. Now the main menu down the left-hand side here lists all those tools. So they're the tools that I just ran through in the slide deck. So first of all, we'll take a look at the library. And the library at its simplest form or its simplest level is just a way of getting documents onto the job site. So I'm going to expand out some of the 2D documentation. This is how Field, or Vela as it was known back then, started many, many years ago. It's just PDF documentation. So basically we can create any folder structure. This folder structure can sit on a server or a client machine, and the folder structure, so the list of directories with all the documents in them, can be synced up into the system in one hit. So you've got full control over how this folder structure is set. I'm going to go into, so the first floor folder. In this project, we've uploaded architectural and MEP information. So I'm going to go into an architectural plan here for level 1. So I'm just zooming around. If you've used an iPhone or an iPad before, the navigation is just swiping your finger around on the screen, pinching to zoom in and out. It's really intuitive. So you can see it performs pretty well. Just bear in mind there's a little bit of lag for what you're seeing here. I'm just checking the audience view, and it seems quite jerky. So that just could be some bandwidth issue, but I'll keep an eye on that. We'll see how we go. So we can check documents on site. That was just a drawing. I'll go out of here and we'll go to the specifications list. So what we've got here are just some PDF documents again, some specs. For example, air diffuser installation guide here. It understands the pages and contents of PDF files really well. It's fully zoomable. I can actually take snippets of these documents and actually mark them up. So if there's an issue with the way something's installed, I can actually refer back to this document and attach it to an issue to show how it should have been done, for example. So these are just some other PDF documents here. You get the idea. There's the contents. So all of this information can be accessed on site. If you're a subcontractor providing, if you're the contractor providing this information, you can choose which subs on the project, if they are using BIM 360 Field, have access to which documents. So it's all user-based, and you can control that aspect. Also in the library, we've also got models. So the models can be coming directly out of Revit, any version of Revit, or also Navisworks. So we've got some Navisworks models that have been synced into this project, so I'm going to open one of those now. I'm actually going to go into the models view or tool. I can just see that there's a bit of lag again, so I'm just going to slow down there. So I'm going to use this tool here, models. I'm going to open the model. Now you can upload as many models as you want. You can break the models down into different disciplines, and that's what we've got here. We've got an architectural, we've got an aggregated model from Navisworks with an architectural and a combined MEP model, but it could be broken down into architectural, structural, mechanical, hydraulic, electrical, fire, whatever. As many models as you want. So first of all, this is using a Navisworks engine to display this model on the iPad. I'm just orbiting around now, and it's a little bit delayed, so I'll just go fairly slowly. But again, just using the hand to kind of zoom in, pinch to zoom, just swipe the finger to pan around an orbit. It's really intuitive if you've ever used any kind of tablet or smartphone before. So we'll go and have a look at the different models that we've got loaded in. I'm going to click on this tool here. We can actually hide the architectural model. So it's just like in Navisworks, if you're a Navis user. You can isolate and hide elements. So this is the combined MEP model here. Now I can select any item in this model and actually display the properties from Navisworks or directly from Revit, wherever the model's originated. So for example, if we select one of these air handling units, I can go and launch the properties palette by clicking or hitting this icon here. So this brings up the properties palette, and this is showing me all the information directly from the Revit model. So there's a lot of useless information here because we haven't controlled what actually got uploaded, but you can actually control which properties you send with the model into the system. So you can see the name, element ID, all the physical parameters, depth of unit, height. There's operational parameters, airflow, and so on as well. Just going to scroll through a few of these. Okay, so I'll close the properties palette. I'll go and restore that architectural model. So now we're seeing the aggregated model, and we'll go and have a look at some of the viewpoints that we've got. Okay, so I'm going to go and have a look at these are viewpoints that have been synced directly from Navisworks as well. So any viewpoints you have in Navis can come across. So we've got a roof view, sync view, and then we've got a room view here. So now that I'm inside the actual model, I'll just slow down a bit again, wait for that to catch up. So now that I'm inside the model, you see down the bottom left-hand corner here we've got some navigation tools. And this is just kind of like a wheel which I can use to walk throughout the building. We've got gravity again, so it's just using the Navis engine. And your Navis users will be used to the idea of gravity when you're navigating a model. So this one allows me just to basically ensure that I'm staying on a floor plane. So we can look around, and actually I haven't got gravity turned on, that's why it was quite difficult to walk there. Just turn that on. So you can see you can navigate throughout the model like so. I've also got a home view here, which I'll switch back to. So I'll go and have a look at a few more of the tools that you can use within the kind of model. I'm going to have a look at measure quickly. So we'll start the measurement tool. With this measure tool I can pick any 2 points. There's kind of, I didn't quite get it there, but there's some snapping functionality. We'll clear that and I'll try again. I just need to zoom in a bit here. So for example, I might want to snap from there. Whoops. Start the measure tool again. Might want to snap from here. Zoom out a bit to here. And again, I'll just wait for that to catch up. Alright, so you can see there, it's giving you the direct distance. You can control the units that the distances are read out in. Let's just all run through the settings. We've got the Z difference, the X difference, and a Y difference there as well. It's giving you all that information. You can also do things like calculate the shortest distance between 2 items, so I'll clear that. And the other measure tool is just picking 2 elements, and it's just going to give us the shortest distance between each, like so. And when it does that, it just kind of isolates those elements, puts it in isolation mode. It creates kind of like a section box, cuts the model right down around those objects, and makes kind of, it grays out every other object, as you can see there. So they're done to that. Alright, now just probably the most important part here with models is having a look at the actual equipment parameters, or linking back to the equipment tool. So I'm going to select one of these air handling units here, called condensers I think they are. And when I select any item, I get a little menu come up here, these 4 buttons. So first of all, I can isolate the object, like so. View it in isolation. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Just bear with me. I accidentally got out of the model there. So we've isolated the object. To get back into the model view, I can do that as well, like so. And then probably most important here is, before I do this, we can hide as well. So I can hide the object, and then I can just restore the view just by going back to the viewpoint. And as I've been saying, that the key thing here is when I select an object, I can hit this little icon here, which brings me to the equipment module. So I'm now in a different tool within BIM 360 Field. So this is all the information that's been synced off that piece of equipment. And when we say equipment, people commonly think of mechanical equipment. It doesn't have to be. Equipment in this situation could refer to anything. It could be a steel assembly, so a column with all the stiffeners and base plates and connection plates on it. Anything that you want to track as a model item in this system can be included as a piece of equipment. These are just a bit of mechanical equipment. So there's some properties here that we've specified when we set the project up. And we've also put some unpopulated properties in, like barcode, serial number, tag number, and so on. Purchase date, installation date, warranty start dates, and so on. So this is some commissioning information that can be filled out on site. So for example, I've just got to find a barcode. I forgot to get a barcode. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, I found my barcode, so I'm just going to go and scan this barcode. So there's an inbuilt barcode scanner in the system. So I hit barcode, I'm going to start the barcode reader. This reads barcodes or QR codes. And just got to find the camera here. Just got to focus. Okay. Now, BIM 360 Field just closed there, I'm not quite sure why. We'll try this again. I think I might have accidentally hit the home button on the iPad while I was doing that. So I have another shot. Alright, did it again. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but what should have happened is it should have captured that barcode. Wasn't quite working. So it should have captured that barcode and populated that value there. But in addition to scanning items, we can also enter in just numerical values. So serial numbers we can capture on site, tag numbers. And so on. So all this as-built information can be input here, and then again this can be synced back up to the Navisworks model and then included in the handover package. And it can also be reported, so we could just go and produce an equipment report that lists out all the equipment with all the as-built information parameters included. Now, I've shown you how to go and bring up the equipment information from the model view. We can also work backwards the other way. So if I just go directly into the equipment tool, this just lists out all of the equipment in the project in kind of list form. Now the equipment doesn't have to be included from model, doesn't have to be synced or exist as model information. It can also be entered into the system through an Excel spreadsheet. So when you set a project up, you can download some sample spreadsheets for various tools, and then basically you can go and populate all your equipment with all the relevant properties into the spreadsheet, and then that gets uploaded to the cloud, and that formulates your equipment list. Or if you've got it as model-based information, you can extract it out of the model. So if I go and select a piece of equipment, for example, we can filter by, so we can filter by types of equipment, architectural, mechanical, electrical, and so on. We can filter by location within the building, so there's a location hierarchy in the project as well. I can go to different floors, choose different rooms. If it was not a commercial project that didn't have rooms, it could be divided by RLs and grid intersections, for example. So this location system is highly flexible. But yeah, I'm going to go and search for a specific piece of equipment. We'll search for some condensers. So you can see it's found those items here. Now if I pick one of these pieces of equipment, lists out all the parameters as we've just seen, but up the top right hand corner here I've got a showing model tool. So we can go and show this in the model. It's going to find the relevant model. We've got multiple models loaded. It's going to zoom in on that item. So this is the condenser that we were just looking at. I'll jump back into the equipment view. Now, we can also associate checklists with equipment. So I won't jump into this just yet. Actually, I probably will. I've tapped the checklist option here, and you can see that we've got some checklists pre-associated with this equipment. Now I can go into the list of checklists in this system and associate or assign a checklist to a piece of equipment from the iPad, or this can be done beforehand when we set the project up. So these checklists could be part of the commissioning process. So a commissioning agent, for example, might have to come on site, fill this checklist out to certify that it's, the equipment's been installed and that it's gone through its startup test and so on. So we'll hit this checklist, and we'll go and open it up. So there's a bunch of questions here. Now the input ranges, it could be a simple yes, no, could be requiring you to enter some text, pass, fail, could get you to actually put a signature at the end. So this is, again, fully customizable. But I won't fill this out just yet. I'll fill out a different checklist fairly shortly. We can also attach information to equipment. So I can include a photograph, a document. If I hit add attachment here, I could simply just take a photo. So I'm just using the iPad now to point back at my own screen. Maybe you can quite see that there. But that's just using the camera on the iPad. Or I could go into the iPad photo library and choose a photo from there. But we won't do that. So I'll come back to checklists fairly shortly. I'm just going to go and have a look at the next tool. So I have a look at issues. And this is one of the key tools within the system. So I'm going to start up the issues tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is specify the location that I'm working in. So at the top here, we can go into the location hierarchy of the project. And I'll just slow down a bit. I'm just noticing there's a bit of lag there. So I'm going into the location hierarchy of the project like so. We can choose in this case, the level that we want to work on and the room that we're working in. And then what I'm going to do is add an issue. So at the top right-hand corner, got the little plus sign. Before I do that, I could also choose from a list of predefined issues. These are issue templates. So there's literally thousands of issue templates in here for common issues, and you can search. They're all kind of grouped into relevant headings, and you can search through those groups. I won't use that. I'll create an issue from scratch. So I'm just going to hit the plus sign here. So I get a new issue, and we can now put in a description of the issue. So we could say that the ceiling finish is damaged. We can then go and add an attachment. So the more information you capture here, the more you'll be able to report on them. The more value you're going to get out of the system. So I'm going to hit on attachment, and we're going to go. In this case, I'm not going to take a photo. I'm going to go into the iPad photo library and use sorry, that's the BIM 360 field library. I'm going to go into the iPad photos like so. I'm going to choose a photo that I've already captured. So I've got a picture of a ceiling here that's got some damage on it. And I'll just wait 1 sec for that to come up. So once that image is attached, I can open that image. And I get a kind of a markup interface here. Kind of some of the tools here are quite similar to design review. So first thing we can do is zoom in. There's the photo. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to set that as the size of image that I want to appear on the report. that we're going to produce later, which I'll show you. And then we can start doing some markups. So you can do things like cloud. We'll just draw a cloud over like so. You've got freehand sketch tools. Like so. And you can also add text. You can do other things like draw vector lines and arrows as well. But we'll add some text. Now, this text isn't just dumb text. It's actually like metadata. We can actually search later on for any issue that contains this kind of tag. So I can add my text in like so. And if you want to make this issue more searchable, you can also add in captions and tags down the bottom right-hand corner there. Again, that's searchable information. So once I'm happy, I've marked up the image. I'll close this, and we'll go and fill out the rest of the issue information. So I'll just go back into the issue. You can see we've got one attachment. We can put in comments. Again, comments are a searchable kind of bit of information. We can specify the issue type. Now these issue types are set up or created when the project's set up. You don't create these on the go on site. This is all kind of predefined. So you can say, well, this is it's a QA/QC issue. I can assign it to a subcontractor. So in this case, we're imagining I'm a contractor here. I'm going to assign it to the relevant subcontractor. We'll just assign it to a test contractor. We can give it a priority. We can give it its status is automatically set to open. It's automatically stamping the date and time that it was that the issue was created at. We can also go and specify a root cause. Now you can go and report on root cause, and I'll show this fairly shortly when we open up the reporting engine. But I'm going to go and specify what the root cause of this is, and we could say, oh, it was a weather issue, it was a storm or something. And that information can be very useful when you're generating reports later on to understand where the project had issues and where things were going off track. You can put in things like a location detail, so let's say south, west corner, for example, of that room. And then there's other information that we can enter in. Projected labour costs, projected equipment costs, if there's a back charge required, those kind of things. So all of these parameters here, the possible parameters we can fill in for issues are all set up when the project's created. So that issue's done. One other thing I can do with an issue is actually pinpoint it or locate it on a 2D document. So if I hit this little pin icon here for this issue, and by the way, these are the two issues that we see below. They're color-coded blue. That just means they're open. So we can see there each issue or issue status has a different color code, whether it's completed, ready to inspect, and so on. But this is my new issue. Now the reason these two issues are displayed here is because they're all issues, all three are located in level 1 of room 153. But I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to pinpoint this issue on a 2D document. So to do that, I'm just going to hit this little pin sign. Now at the moment, there's no documents associated with this location or linked to this location. So in the back-end setup, we can automatically link plans or drawings to locations in the model. But I can do this on site as well. I'm going to hit Add from Library. I go into the document library, and I'm going to choose Architectural Plan for Level 1, and we'll go and find Room 153. That's down the bottom left here, and I'm going to move that pin and place that in Room 153. So we can say, right, happened in the southwest corner, which is down here, and that's exactly where that water damage ceiling is located. And I can also do other markup here. We could kind of, maybe highlight Room 153 and do that kind of thing. All of that information and markup appears on the issue report. So we can do the description of the issue with all the parameters I've filled out, and then we're also going to get an image next to it with this information here. So I'm happy with that. We'll set the crop size, and I'm going to go back to the issue. So there's my issue down the bottom now. Assigned to test contractor. All right, we're going to have a look at filling in some checklists. So that's issue logging. We're going to fill in some checklists. I'm going to go to the checklist module. Now I'm going to hit the checklist button, and now we can choose from a range of predefined checklists. So any checklist here with the list button shown next to it is one that I've already, whoops, I'll keep getting rid of that, just bear with me. Just there's a bit of lag, I'll just wait for this to catch up. So any checklist here with a list button next to it is one that I've already started filling out. We can scroll through the list of checklists. You can also search, so if you're looking for a particular checklist, formwork or mechanical installation or whatever it relates to, you can search here. But we'll just go and fill one out from scratch. So I'll just find one quickly. I keep getting rid of this list. So you don't create the checklist as you're on site. This is all predefined. Again, this is done through Excel spreadsheets. You download a sample spreadsheet and you upload that into the system. Once you've created a checklist on one project, you can migrate them from project to project. We'll have a look at this checklist here, bitumen surfacing laydown. So I'm going to open this checklist, and basically it's got a set of questions in there, and you have to identify whether they pass or fail, basically. So we can go through, identify conformance for particular questions. Okay, now we could identify a non-conformance, and the minute we do this, just keep an eye on the issue button to the left here. The minute I say that a question does not conform, it generates an issue. Now, I can enter comments directly here into the checklist, or I can actually go and enter those comments into the issue. So when I hit the issue button here, you can see the issue description has already taken on the question from the checklist. And just as we saw previously, I can now go and add attachments. So I could take a photo, I could add a document from the library. So this time let's go in and add a document from the library. Let's just pretend it's this PDF document here, even though it doesn't. Let's just pretend it relates to that particular question. So we could go and choose a page from the library, from the document, sorry. So we might say that this page here has some instructions on how that bitumen should have been spread, which wasn't adhered to. So I've attached that now. We can go through and identify the company responsible, so the subcontractor. Go Acme Concrete. This is of course a made-up project. Set a priority. You saw me do all this in the last example when I logged an issue from scratch. Okay. So you can continue going through the checklist. Now it's not only when something is non-conforming that we can raise an issue. We might like to generate an issue even when something conforms, and that can be used from a legal point of view to prove that basically something was done to the requirements and that it complies at the time of handover. For example, imagine a subcontractor's installed something, maybe a partition wall. Another trade is coming afterwards and damaged that wall. There might be a dispute over who caused that damage and who's responsible for its rectification. Well, if the trade installing the wall or building the wall has generated an issue and taken a photo of it, properly built, there can be no dispute as to who caused that issue, or at least the particular subcontractors kind of absolving themselves of responsibility. So, an issue is not to be thought of in the sense of something bad. It can just be logging that something is done correctly and on time as well. So I can hit the little issue button here, even though this is a conformance, not a non-conformance. I can hit the issue button, and I can actually go and add an attachment. And this time, we could use the iPad to take a photo, for example. Just take that photo right there. Once I've taken the photo, we can go and mark it up. So I could open it, And again, you've seen the markup interface. I'll just wait for that to catch up. So we can go and add whatever information, draw over the top of it, add captions, add text, and so on. Okay, now at the end of some checklists, I'm not sure if this one's got it. This one doesn't, but at the end of the checklist, we can have a signature field. We can have as many signature fields as we want. So often, for something to be passed, we'll need a set of signatures from certain people on site, superintendent, whatever, and that can be included as well. So that's the checklist tool. And as I saw, just a reminder, we can associate checklists with pieces of equipment in the model. So as part of the handover process, or the commissioning process, for example, when I look at this condenser again, we have some checklists which are already pre-associated, and we can go and fill those out as well. So I'm just opening this checklist here. These are some of the different kind of inputs that you can have. Enter text, a simple yes, no, pass or a fail, and so on. All right. So we've looked at issues, checklists and equipment. We've looked at the library and models. I'll just have a quick look at tasks. So tasks is a way that we can basically assign a task to a specific user on the project. Now, generally speaking, we wouldn't create a task which is telling a user or subcontractor or whoever to go and rectify an issue. The fact that an issue is logged and it's assigned to a specific stakeholder in the project is an indication that that issue needs to be fixed. So that's not really what the task tool is designed for. It's for more specific items. For example, you might want to create a task and assign it to a user to tell them to go and fill out a checklist. So one example here is I'll go and create a task from a predefined list here, a task template. This is a site induction task. So this site induction task, I can assign it to a specific user in the project. I'll assign it to myself. You can go and input all this information here. We can go and associate a checklist. So this is from the safety point of view. I talked about the 3 core programs being QA, QC, safety, and commissioning. So we've looked at QA, QC, and commissioning, but this is safety now. And there are certain companies that just use this in a safety capacity as well. Like I said, it depends on the project requirements. But I can go and open that OH&S checklist. So this is just a checklist ensuring that I've run through the OH&S procedures. Another input here that we can have in a checklist is to choose a date. Just comes up with the iPad kind of date list there, and so on. So you can associate any checklist with a task. You can associate a bit of equipment with a task and any other attachment from a document from the library or a photo or whatever. Fairly new is this photos tool. This just allows you to take a photo and generate an issue from it straight off. It also lists all the photos that I'm using in issues in the system. And there's also some miscellaneous tools that I'll just show before we go into the web and the reporting engine. Whoops. So some of these miscellaneous tools here, there's a spirit level. I'll just wait for this to come up. Moving the iPad around, and yeah, it just acts as a spirit level. It's a bit gimmicky, but it's cool. It works. There's a barcode scanner. So if my barcode scan worked before, the idea here is that I could go back to the same bit of equipment. I could scan that piece of equipment like so, and it's going to bring that piece of equipment up automatically. What I'm getting though is that the code I've scanned isn't mapped yet, and that's because my barcode scan before didn't work for whatever reason. But had it actually worked, it would automatically bring up that piece of equipment. Let's just have a look, because I've assigned a bit. I think what I've just done is I've assigned a piece of equipment manually, so we'll just see if that works quickly. Yeah, so you can see here it's automatically bringing up the piece of equipment that I manually associated with the barcode. So that's what would have happened had the scan worked originally. I'll just notice there's a few questions coming through, so I'll run through those questions at the end. I will address all the questions at the end. So that's, in a nutshell, the iPad-based component, the field-based component. You do all this offline. Once you've been out on site for the day or however long it is, you capture all your information. The minute you get cellular connection or Wi-Fi connection back at the site office, so you might jump in the car and drive back to the head office or whatever, the minute you get back to within range, basically what you're going to do is sync. You're going to upload all the information you've captured, and as I said, you've got full control over which bits of information you upload. There might be certain things that you haven't finished with yet, checklists you haven't finished filling out. You can control exactly what goes up and what comes down. So once you've done all that, we can start reporting on the information that we've captured. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to jump out of the iPad and we'll go and have a look at the reporting engine. Actually, before I do that, I just remembered I missed one pretty cool tool. I'm going to jump back into the model interface. And this is kind of like what I'm about to show you is a very kind of simple kind of form of augmented reality almost. So I'm going to go have a look at a predefined view, like a room view. Now, if I hold down this little button here, what it allows me to do is, they used to call this tool BIM goggles. It's got a different name, I forget what it is. But basically what it allows me to do is just move my iPad around. So I'm pointing the iPad in a certain direction, up, down, left, right, and the gyro in the iPad is showing me what's actually visible at that point. Now, it's not using GPS or anything like that, so this works underneath an obstruction, like a roof or a slab or something like that. So the way this tool works is that you have to be pointed in the correct direction to start with. So you'll orient yourself so you're pointing in the right direction, then you can hold the tool down and start moving around. And it's just a really good way of understanding, what might be coming to that space, which hydraulics might be installed next, for example. Imagine that none of this hydraulic equipment or piping had actually been installed yet. We can get a really good understanding of what goes where. So it's a nice intuitive way to navigate around the model. All right, so I'm going to jump into the web side. So that was the mobile side. I'll just kill this iPad view. And close that. Okay, so we've got a few minutes left. So the website can be accessed through any browser, as long as you've got a web connection, obviously. So I'm going to go to the login page. You'll sign in. Okay, so the first thing you get when you sign in is you'll be able to choose which project you want to log into, because you may be a user on multiple or concurrent projects. So we can choose which project we want to log into up the top here, up the top right. And then once we've chosen our project, we'll get a dashboard view. Now this dashboard view is basically a synopsis of how the project's traveling. This is the kind of view you might expect as a contractor. So it's listing, it's got an issue tracker on the top left here. Show me the total number of closed issues and the total number of issues open as well. So if this graph is increasing rapidly, we know that issues are sliding out of control. We're not closing out issues as fast as we're opening them. We've also got a bar graph of companies with most unresolved issues. So this is listing out all the subcontractors. Which subbies have the most unresolved issues. Average time to close out issues, so we can check the performance of a specific subcontractor here and see how many days they're taking to close out issues on average. And then really handy is the root causes graph. So this is indicating the root cause for issues captured on the project. Why are most issues occurring? And this can be really important when you run cross-project analytics, one project against another. You can understand which project had which root causes and why they might have occurred. But this dashboard view is fully customizable, so you can click these little cogs here and you can choose exactly what you want to show. You might want to show checklist conformance or equipment progress, whatever you want. It's fully customizable. Okay, through the web interface here, we actually set the project up. I won't run through that. That's a whole other kind of webcast in itself. But this is basically where we can upload models, produce our checklist from scratch, produce our equipment list and so on, produce issue types, predefined issue types and so on. You can also, I haven't mentioned, but you can also use BIM 360 Field on site on a laptop or any kind of portable PC, I suppose, as long as you've got a consistent Wi-Fi connection. So you can see here, this kind of toolbar here, issues, checklist, equipment, task on the left-hand side. That's very similar to what we saw on the iPad, the main menu on the iPad. If you want to use a PC on site, you need to have a continuous Wi-Fi connection, though this won't work offline. So only the iPad works offline. But the main reason we've come in here is to have a look at some reports. So we're going to go into the report engine and generate some reports. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of report templates, and these are just basically predefined, really easy to run one of these reports. But we'll have a look at creating one from scratch. These are recent reports that we've run. So I'm going to go and create an issue report, but we could create a checklist report as well. Okay. Now these are just some templates here, and this view has actually changed since the last time I've used it. Being a cloud-based tool, it gets updated very regularly. That's one of the main benefits of it being cloud-based, is that the tool is always being enhanced, and actually updates are rolled out every 2 weeks. And there's actually a suggestion box in here as well, so you can log into the web interface and actually go into the suggestion box and add your suggestions. And a lot of the improvements that are added come directly from the users. So we can choose one of these report templates. I'm just going to have a look for a different one, just bear with me. We're going to do a recent report. I'm going to run an issue list. Okay. So this is just a list of all issues, and we can start to filter this down. We can give it a name, group by company with location details, for example, so that the relevant sub that the issue is being assigned to. Specify the report type, so we can go to PDF, Excel, CSV file, or a text file. Include issues that were created in which time range, so we'll just go all, so I get quite a big issue list. Include issues whose due date is within a certain time range. And then we can specify we're only interested in issues from certain authors, we're only interested in certain issue types. We might want to see only architectural punch list issues, or QA/QC issues, or commissioning issues, or whatever. But I'm going to leave this on all, so we get quite a big report with lots of stuff in it. Now we can also choose to show attachments. So down here I'm going to say we're going to show an attachment after each item, and we're going to show a large attachment. And then I'm going to include any comments, custom fields, signatures, and cover pages as well. So we'll go and run that report. So basically, as you see, you've got full control over exactly what information you want to include in the report. Now I get that little dialog there, which is telling me my report is being generated. If I want, I can hit close there, and I actually get an email notification when that report's ready to go. But we'll let that run. Now, just while I'm waiting for that report to run, I'll have a look at some of these questions that have come through. Oh, there's actually only one. So, can you create your own checklist? You certainly can. When you set the project up through the web, you'll download a sample Excel file, which has been formatted the way BIM 360 Field needs it to be. And basically, you just go in and enter in your questions into there. So there'll be rows and columns and cells for questions, and then there'll be certain inputs that you can enter in to control what kind of response you want to that checklist question, whether it's a yes, no, or pass, fail, whether you want the user to input a date, whether you want the user to input a signature. So all that information is input in a spreadsheet. You can save that spreadsheet and store it locally on your machine, or you can actually also save the spreadsheet in your cloud. So you load that spreadsheet in, and basically that's what generates the checklist that you're seeing on the iPad. So the report's done. We'll go and view it. Now, bear in mind the issue that I captured won't be here. We won't see the ceiling with the water damage on it because I haven't synced. I've just done that to save time. We're only going to see that if I sync after I've captured the information. So I'm just downloading this PDF now. Okay, so this is a summary page. It's quite a big report. That's why it took a little while. For example, these are just some of the outputs we can get. So this is an issue here with an attachment. I'll try and get a better one than this. Just bear with me. I've included absolutely every issue that's been captured on this project since the start. That probably wasn't a good idea. I'll try and get a better view. So these are just some summaries of some issues that have been captured. These don't have any attachments. So you can see the location is captured, description of the issue status, the type of issue that they created, and so on. These are some attachments which show the issue in the context of the model. So there's an issue number here. And we can go and have a look at the issue list. These issues don't have particularly good description. They don't have any descriptions on them. But you can basically see each issue is numbered and shown in the context of the plan, and then they're color-coded as well. So most of the issues there are open, one's closed, one's ready to inspect. Try and find a better example. You can include company logos on the sheets as well. So generally, you're not going to be creating an issue report that's so kind of open and includes everything. You'll be more specific about it. You might create an issue report, which is including issues that are assigned to specific subcontractors only. You can then send that report on to all users who belong to a certain subcontractor. So there's a whole bunch of permission settings. It's not a case that everyone on the project is going to see every bit of information. There are different user levels. We've got document controllers, we've got administrators, we've got people that basically can set to read only, and they can't actually set anything up. They can only see certain information. So that's the issue report. You can see it includes photos, any attachments that you get out of the document library, such as plans and specifications. There's one. That's actually not the one I created today. This is one I created at some other point. So you can see that it's a good indication of how the report comes out. So we've got the issue ID, the description, setting finished damage, status is open, it's an architectural punch list, the date that it was created, and so on. There's another one, same issue. Alright, so I'll start running through some of the questions. With regards to the equipment, are these families within Revit, or can you create groups of components? E.g., does the architect or engineer have to ensure a family is specifically set up for the contractor to assign equipment data? So that's a really good question, and the answer is no. Basically, you can control the selection hierarchy in Navisworks, and you could actually group multiple items together and enter that into the system as one piece of equipment. Equipment doesn't relate specifically to Revit families. The models that we use in BIM 360 Field don't have to come out of Revit. They can come out of anywhere. They can come out of Tekla, they can come out of ArchiCAD, they can be AutoCAD-based tools like ProSteel, wherever. So the equipment can be fully controlled, and you can control actually what gets grouped as one piece of equipment. Is this session available for viewing later online? It will be. You'll all be sent an email with the link to download. So anyone who's attended or registered for the session will get a download link. That will probably maybe be later today or early tomorrow. So that's about it. If there's any questions, please do fire away. Otherwise, you can get in contact with us. feel free to contact me directly, or you can contact the marketing team if you've got any questions. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for your time today.